It's bogus, obviously. Caitlin Clark, almost unanimous, -1. Angel Reese received one vote, one first place vote for Rookie of the Year. People went right to Cheryl Swoops because who else could possibly vote for Angel Reese for Rookie of the Year or for MVP?
The same woman who was the first WNBA player to be signed, Cheryl Swoops, has officially been fired for her shocking vote against Caitlin Clark in the Rookie of the Year competition. Sure, she has the championships and accolades to support her career, but let's face it, this time she went too far by voting for Angel Reese, even though she knew Caitlin Clark was the obvious winner and the one who everyone knew deserved the title.
The women of the WNBA, I mean, they're driving me bat blank crazy because, well, they won't shut up. It's like drama after drama, and I guess it's smart. She told us women in sports don't want to see other women in sports succeed. Now, Cheryl Swoops certainly is #1 on that hit parade.
Sheryl thought she could pull a fast one, but Reese wasn't even close to Clark's level.
I heard someone say that Cheryl Swoops gets a vote.
That backfired, didn't it? She's now unemployed, and to be honest, it feels like justice has been done. What's happening to her now is just the result she anticipated, and I'm sure you agree with me on that.
It's unchecked bigotry and jealousy. It's a Cheryl Swoops problem.
Since everyone was raving about the WNBA's historic day on October 3rd, 2024, you can't possibly forget what happened on that day. When Caitlin Clark, the rookie sensation whom everyone was enamored with, made her first appearance in the playoffs, the excitement was incredible. All season long, Clark had been putting up ridiculous numbers, essentially forcing her to the golden child of the NBA.
Just when we thought this Cheryl Swoops drama was going to blow over, things just got so much messier.
Every basketball fan was riveted to the screen, waiting to watch her tear it up on the court, which she did, of course, with that same deadly precision that had everyone talking about her all season. But wait, because during the playoff madness, we heard the announcement that Caitlin Clark had won Rookie of the Year. This wasn't just any award, though. Clark had dominated the entire season, and when they finally announced her as the winner, nobody gave a second thought, thinking it was the most obvious thing ever. That is, until we learned that she received 66 out of 67 first-place votes. Wait, who was the lone rebel who didn't vote for Caitlin Clark? You could practically hear the collective gasp from WNBA fans everywhere. The women who voted against Clark said,
Cheryl Swoops now has come up with her new excuse. It's not Caitlin Clark. I like Caitlin Clark. It's I hate her fan. Now, FYI, I was never supposed to do the game.
The WNBA usually keeps the ballot seal tighter than a vault, but I'm sure you haven't forgotten the crazy drama surrounding the voting process either. Oh boy, this was a mess. Let me explain it for you, because what happened behind the scenes of the Rookie of the Year voting was just as chaotic as the season itself. There are 24 local market voters and 43 national voters, along with a variety of journalists, analysts, and specialists who all contribute their so-called expert judgments.
You know, it's okay to have difference of opinions. Well, she got upset with me on the phone, and I was like, Cheryl, I'm not doing anything to hurt you. I'm just sharing. We're talking. And so our relationship, it pretty much is not happening at this point. I tried to talk to her at the final four. She didn't want to talk to me. My life's going to be good or great with or without Cheryl Swoops in my life. I'd rather have her in it.
The goal is to maintain secrecy so that we never truly know who cast a ballot for whom. But this year was different. The entire WNBA world went crazy when it was revealed that Cheryl Swoops, the living legend herself, had cast that one vote for Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark's nearly flawless season culminated in a nearly flawless victory, save for that one rogue vote, and the fans weren't having it. They wanted answers like yesterday.
WNBA legend Cheryl Swoops and how she has been a certified Caitlin Clark hater for about a year.
We're talking about the three-time WNBA MVP, four-time Olympic gold medalist, and walking talking Hall of Fame Cheryl Swoops, who voted against Caitlin Clark, the player who had dominated the season like she was born with a basketball in her hands. This is how she responded to Clark's accomplishment, and Jason made the greatest joke ever.
I was never supposed to do the game. Also, I do not hate Caitlin. It's a lot of her fans that are just flat out mean and evil.
The internet went crazy. It became painfully clear that Swoops wasn't choosing purely on the metrics. Rather, there was something much deeper at play here. Why would a player of his caliber make such an unexpected choice? It wasn't about who played better. As you read this, observe Rachel spitting forth the information.
A lot of people had been speculating if Sheryl Swoopes was going to cover this game because up until now, she has not been able to say anything nice about Caitlin Clark, nor has she been able to even speak her name.
It turns out that Swoops had been supporting Rhee the entire season, not just from the sidelines, and she made it obvious that race came before merit. She even stated bluntly, "I will always promote my race now," which may have gone unnoticed at the time but took on a completely different meaning after her vote.
These are sports people, supposedly. These are members of the media. These are people who write about sports, who broadcast about sports, who we assume understand sports. How in the world could anyone who understands sports believe truly that Angel Reese should be Rookie of the Year? Never mind MVP. That's just a...
Fans were furious. This was about more than just Clark being ignored. It was about what that rejection meant. With an average of 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds per game, Caitlin Clark had been dominating the WNBA before she led the Indiana Fever kicking and screaming to their first postseason berth in almost 10 years.
Caitlin was, 25 years old. She was, 24 years old. She was a fifth-year senior. She was taking 40 shots a game. Her records were illegitimate. And I got off the treadmill and I called her as a friend. And I said, you can say whatever you want. You can have your own opinion about anybody. But you do have to get the statistics right. I mean, facts.
And why lose a vote to Angel Rhee? Although she was strong with 15 straight double-doubles, she couldn't compare to Clark's impact on the court. Then the bombshell came. This vote was about race. And Swoops had sided with Reese not because she was better on the court, but rather because she wanted to support her race. And with that, the discussion about basketball turned into a much larger Messier debate.
This is a catastrophic meltdown. She's throwing away her reputation and friendships and relevancy. It's Caitlin Clark derangement syndrome. It's unchecked bigotry and jealousy.
Social media took off. One particularly irate fan wrote, "Swoops just exposed herself." This vote wasn't about who played better, it was about keeping the old guard in power. Other fans also voiced their disapproval of the apparent racial favoritism. Caitlin Clark was worthy of every vote. What's taking place, in all honesty, they had a point, and this is horrible. Clark's season wasn't just about statistics. It was also about redefining what it meant to be a rookie in the WNBA. However, it seems that wasn't enough for Swoops, and things took a turn for the worse when people began to point out that Whispers wasn't the first time Clark had received criticism from other players in the league. There was conflict during the season between her and some of the more seasoned Black players, and some believed Clark was receiving excessive attention while riding the wave of racial privilege. After all, she had dominated and stolen the show from those who had been working hard for years, while others were just plain envious.
Caitlin Clark has stayed completely out of it. She's literally just playing basketball right now, and all of the drama around the WNBA seems to be with her at the focal point, yet she's paying attention to none of it, and I commend her for that, and that's literally what she needs to continue to do. And through all of this, she just needs to stay focused and keep going forward.
Swoops made no attempt to conceal the fact that she was supporting her race from the beginning, and this vote was obviously a continuation of that attitude, but the supporters weren't buying it. Let's be honest here. Basketball should be about merit, not about individual goals or Clark's accomplishments, which speak for themselves. Caitlin Clark is more than just a name that appears on headlines for fun. She is the only one altering how people view and think about basketball, placing the emphasis where it belongs, on talent, ability, and leadership in a sport that has become tangled up. Clark's on-court prowess has broken through the clutter in racial storylines.
I've sat next to her through an entire game. She has nothing negative to say about anyone. She's not the type to gossip. She's not gonna go on all of these shows and do her rounds and make it this whole, Nancy doesn't want a beef.
There have undoubtedly been some Black athletes. Throwing shade at shade just because of her race doesn't change the fact that many Black players are beloved by fans for the sole reason that they are exceptionally skilled at what they do. Take LeBron James, who has been an NBA beast for years and is known to disregard skin color when judging greatness. When LeBron publicly defended Clark and called her impact revolutionary, it wasn't a casual remark. LeBron admires skill, and he sees a younger version of himself in Caitlin, someone with leadership, court vision, and the killer instinct to uplift everyone around her. That's what true athletes are all about, those who have the game, not the color of their skin. It's not just LeBron who takes WNBA powerhouses like Aya Wilson and Brittany Griner. Fans love them because they dominate on the court, not because of their race.
The only people supporting Angel Reese are basically controlled by, racial idolatry. He said it. It's a race thing. And so it's like once you're free.
People are excited by Wilson's power and ability to take over a game, and her fans are devoted by her towering presence and game-changing plays. The common thread skill is unquestionably talented, and it's also what has people enamored with Clark. However, there's been a ridiculous rumor circulating that Caitlin, because of her whiteness, Clark is bringing a level of creativity, intensity, and playmaking that has everyone watching. Her fan base isn't growing because of her skin color. Rather, people are supporting her because she's out there altering the game's flow. Basketball fans aren't blind. They see a player who has the potential to lead her team to greatness and elevate the sport while she's at it, which is why they adore Clark. Her game, not her race, is the focus.
And she dug herself a hole so deep that you just can't give a mea culpa. You almost have to just say, I'm going to stand in the paint here. I'm going to live or die with this. And Jason, she's dying a lot, over and over and over again.
And the figures are honest. Because of Clark, the Indiana Fever have had record-breaking attendance. Fans aren't watching because of any racial loyalty. Rather, they're attending because they understand excellence for a team that was essentially forgotten before she arrived. For true basketball fans, Clark is a game changer, and they are eager to see what she does next.
Angel Reese was not going to be Rookie of the Year. There really wasn't a contest for very long, if at all. But I've gone into before the cultural reasons behind people wanting Angel Reese to carry that mantle that she simply isn't equipped at this point to carry.
Even the president of the Indiana Fever, Kelly Krause, was aware of her relationship with Clark. Without hesitation, Krause referred to her as a game changer and even likened her to NBA player Tyrese Haliburton, which is extremely flattering given that Haliburton is notorious for his outrageous passing and Clark's possesses a wealth of leadership qualities. Instead of concentrating on race, Krause highlighted Clark's leadership abilities and capacity to transform the Fever into a serious contender.
And again, I've talked a whole lot about Angel Reese, and I've taken a lot of flack from people who said, why don't you like Angel Reese? Why don't you like the black people? You black. Why don't, they've made it a race thing. They've made it you can't stand her thing. They've made it all this stuff. And I'm making it a basketball thing.
Meanwhile, Swoop's outmoded opinions are becoming more and more like relics of the past that nobody is attempting to revive. Sure, she supported Angel Reese in the ROTY race, and it appeared that she did so for all the wrong reasons, but the league and its supporters are moving on. Swoops attempted to split things along racial lines, but all she accomplished was to bring people closer to Clark. They are ready to support players who show up and perform at the highest level regardless of their background.